You know that super satisfying feeling of getting into a nice freshly made bed? The sheets are all clean, everything just feels very cozy and satisfying? Well, effectively, I want to do the every area of life version of that with what I'm calling Reset Week. It's essentially a full week designated to getting that fresh slate feeling in pretty much every area of my life. Of course, cleaning our sheets is one aspect of that, but there are also a few other stages, the first one of which is the pre-planning, which happens before Reset Week actually starts. So for that, we're gonna have to go back into the past. Boop. So it is now the day before Reset Week, and I am trying to organize my schedule for the week so that I have enough time to do everything I want to do. The general process for this was first writing out a list of everything I wanted to achieve during Reset Week, then figuring out how long each of those parts would probably take me, and trying to fit them into a general weekly schedule. I decided to start this on paper first because it was just a little bit easier to get everything in order, and then I took it to the computer and made a more finalized copy. The hardest part here is getting a kind of accurate estimate of how long things are going to take, because if I get distracted by something, they will take longer, but if I'm really on top of things, then they'll take shorter than I probably predict them to. Normally, when I try and schedule in how much time I'm going to need for any given task though, I give myself a little bit of wiggle room, a little bit of buffer, because there's probably a good likelihood that things do end up taking longer than I think they will, either because like some kind of difficulty comes up, or I get distracted, or anything in that kind of zone. But at the very least, starting with a list of things you want to accomplish is a great first step. It means that we can check them off as we go through. I love checking things off. My big hopes for Reset Week are just to finish the week feeling cool, calm and collected, ready to start quarter two, kind of knowing what's coming up, feeling good about having got all of my kind of like ducks in a row, so to speak. Honestly, I think my ducks could use some dusting, but they are technically in a row. But it's probably obvious I'm not referring to those ducks in particular. More so just like knowing what the plans are for quarter two, what kind of goals do I want to work on, do I have all of the action plans for those done, and also just feeling rested, like being able to enter the new quarter refreshed. So I want lots of leisure time in my Reset Week, along with everything that's going to be productive. For now though, given that it's Sunday, I have just finished doing some meal prep, so I've got my lunches and breakfasts for Reset Week completely sorted. Yes. Well, at least for the first 5 days. Need to figure out something for Saturday, Sunday. And I'm just waiting for Vogel to finish up what he's doing so that we can go to my parents' place for dinner. Should be good. For now though, back to Reset Week. Boop. In terms of actually starting Reset Week though, so far today I have already laundered my regular kind of like clothes laundry. I've also done the towels for our bathrooms, and of course now stripped the bed. We also did our members live stream this morning, so I've kind of themed today as being a laundry and regular work day, mainly because just because it's Reset Week doesn't mean that other life areas don't still need attention. Like, work is still happening, we still have other external commitments. I have tried to kind of front load my week with work, so I put all of my work tasks today, or at least as many of them as I could possibly get onto today, and kind of theme the day so that I don't have to change focus quite as much. This is just going to help me make the most of my other days in the Reset Week, and also have peace of mind that my work tasks have been handled. For now though, I do actually have to go and put the sheets on, because right now they're sitting on the floor behind me and that's not gonna get them cleaned. Yeah. Putting the laundry on is never the part of the laundry that I actually struggle with. It is always at the other end where I need to put things away. But I have found that so far this year, through my life admin gamification I've been doing, I have been getting a lot better at putting things away in a timely manner. One of the things that I find helps with getting the laundry done is doing all of it on the same day. So clothes and towels and sheets all happen on a Monday for me. With the laundry doing its thing, then it was time for me to go back to my work tasks. The next task being writing my weekly newsletter. In this one, I share a quick actionable tip every week in either the realm of productivity or creativity, and if you wanted to sign up to receive those, there's a link in the description box. I think that was actually the fastest that I have ever written a newsletter. Admittedly, half of it was already kind of drafted, so that kind of made it easier, but now it is lunchtime. Today for lunch we're having tangy tomato chicken, which I meal prepped on Sunday. I like to do my meal prep so I have the same lunch for every day of the week for the entire of the week, and this one was really good. I was a little bit apprehensive that it was going to be kind of but it actually turned out really delicious. So I'm excited to have it tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. For now though, it is time to get back to work. I have several things that I need to do, I think including stuff like doing my content schedule for April and or quarter two, reviewing collaborations. I've got it all kind of planned out here for myself so that I know what I'm supposed to be doing when. A little bit of spoilers for the rest of the week, but you can see I've got a decent task list, so it's time to get started. The first port of call is organizing my content calendar for quarter 2, or at least putting in key dates of things that I want to release. I don't necessarily need the entire calendar mapped out in advance. I do like to have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of when I'm releasing things, but there are specific types of content that are pretty routinized. They come out at roughly the same time every month, so making sure those are on my calendar is helpful to make sure that I don't accidentally book that day up with something else. I've been kind of toying with the idea of a goal series where it's like a weekly check-in type thing, so we kind of goal set together and then map out what that looks like for a quarter and such. I don't know if it's going to happen for quarter 2. If you're interested though, you let me know, because I think it would be a cool time. It effectively gives us these like little accountability check-ins with each other to say like, hey, this was the plan for last week, what got done, what didn't, that kind of stuff. But now as the content planning for at least April is done and that's been released to the channel members, now our next step is to look at any collaborations I have coming up, making sure I know when they're going to be, what's going to happen for them, what needs doing, anything like that, and organizing all that in my Notion. This effectively just meant going through all of my video content, thinking about any sponsorships or partnerships that I'm doing, whether they be with brands or with other creators. For instance, just last week we had a collaboration video go up on the channel, which was a lot of fun. I like to do those as a way to showcase other creators that we have in our space and give you more inspiration for your journal. But now as I have all of that information in Notion, so I know which video pieces are going up with certain partnerships or anything like that, I do think I probably could use some kind of a checklist so I know who I need to follow up with and what kind of planning needs to be done and such. I'm not going to action that right now. I'll probably do that when I get into like a journaling stage. For now, what I want to do is brainstorm any possible work projects that I have coming up, in particular for quarter 2, and then also prioritize those work projects. I don't want to give myself too long to do this because otherwise I'll probably start thinking about things that aren't necessarily going to be that impactful. I'm just kind of like, trying to fill up a list or something. So setting myself a time limit, going in to write my ideas down, and then setting another time limit to prioritize those. I actually ended up getting that done a lot faster than I thought I was going to. Originally on my schedule, I had it for like an hour and I got both of them done in half an hour. So that's excellent, which means I just get to kind of move up my timeline, move ahead to the next stage, which is organizing the podcast because that's coming out this week and it needs to be checked. I need to make a thumbnail, we need to upload it, all of the good stuff. When it comes to splitting the work for the podcast, we record it together, obviously, because we're both in it and both talking. Mark does the initial edit, and then I go through, check it, recommend any kind of additional edits to that, maybe add in B-roll and things. Then once it's all finished, I'm responsible for uploading it. I make the thumbnail, set the title, description, all of that kind of stuff. It's a nice way to share the load because I don't enjoy editing, but Mark kind of does, or at least he enjoys it more than I do, so it makes sense for him to do it. At least that's what I'm telling myself because I don't want to do it. The podcast is up, it is ready to release. I am feeling already very positive about this week. I feel like I'm on top of things. I hope that feeling lasts because I know we have a lot of the week left to go and I've only really focused on work tasks right now, but so far we've had a very productive Monday. What I'm going to do now though is get started on a video that's going to be releasing next week for me currently, but was the last release for you if you're watching this now. That one being my March reading wrap up. I haven't technically finished March and I haven't finished all of my reading for March, but I want to get a head start on the collages and such that I like to do for my different things I've read, watched, all of that kind of stuff, mainly because it's due to my fabulous editor tomorrow, so I do actually have to get that one filmed. For that one though, I just put on some background music, got myself set up to film, and got underway. When it comes to doing my reading journal collages, I just like to use as much space as feels necessary for any piece of media. A lot of the time for a TV show, this will be either a page or a spread, whereas for books, it could be anywhere from a quarter of a spread or half a page to a full spread. Really just depends on how much I feel like I have to say about the book in question. I figured that even though I haven't finished the month and there will still be other pieces of media that I'm going to want to review in my reading journal, I could at least get a chunk of them to my editor tomorrow and just do the rest of them myself. I may or may not have gotten incredibly distracted trying to make the lettering for the Caraval header because I like to use the same lettering style in my journal, but I don't like to have to draw it out myself, so digital it is. But that did eat quite a large chunk of time out of my journaling time, so I just wish I could have found a transparent picture of it. This is one of those ones I couldn't, so I had to make it myself. So I managed to record Well, not technically two, because it's like a movie and then a series of books, so I feel like that's kind of an accomplishment. Would have been nice to get more done, but that's still pretty good. In terms of other ones I had planned to do, I had like 3 other ones, but doing that Caraval logo took a decent chunk of time. For now though, because it is now 5 o'clock, I do like to cut work off at 5. Even though it's reset week, even though this is my themed work day, I still want to make sure I'm finishing at 5 just to help me kind of reinforce that habit that I'm trying to build. If I let it slip now, then I'll probably just let it slip next time, and the time after that. So no, not doing that. Instead, what I'm going to do is get Vogel's journal set up for April and spend the time until dinner doing that. This was another project that definitely took longer than I was expecting, so I ended up working as much as I could through until dinner time, but then Vogel called me for dinner. We decided rather than sitting at the table, we were just going to hang out on the couch, watch The Rookie, and then once we were finished, it was time to do our tidy up. One of the things we've been trying to do is that after dinner, we both do a tidy up task. Typically speaking, he would usually do the dishes and I would go do something else, normally not so related to tidying, but I want to be a little bit more mindful about making sure we're sharing the workload in our home. It's not just him doing chores and then me going off to my office to usually do more work. So for today, I decided that my tidying or home care task was going to be putting away all of the loads of laundry I had done. This meant not only my personal laundry, but also our towels, and then making the bed. Though I could only get through so much of making the bed before I did need assistance, because our duvet just likes to move in the cover and it won't stay in the one place, and it annoys the ever-loving heck out of me. So Vogel does typically help me with that to make sure that it can sit inside the cover nicely so I can get a good night's sleep. I know he doesn't mind so much, but it bothers me. For the rest of the evening though, my general plan was to do leisure, but because I haven't finished Vogel's journal yet, I am gonna finish that first. I'm gonna just put on some YouTube videos, watch those, and potter around in there. Thankfully, given that Vogel uses a pretty simple setup for each of his weeklies and monthlies, this meant that setting up the rest of his journal didn't take the full evening, so I spent the rest of the evening figuring out how I was gonna set up my journal for reset week. Ideally, I would have done this before reset week actually started, but I wanted to have a checklist of all of the things I was hoping to accomplish, just so that I could check them off as I go through. I grouped these by all of the different life areas that I'm going to be focusing on as part of the reset, and used headers that I'd already printed off from the computer onto sticker paper. Just means that I don't have to spend time, effort, and energy doing that lettering style myself. Despite the fact that we are actually at the end of Monday, I have now got reset week set up in my journal. I do need to go and check off what we've done today, but I'm feeling like I actually have a plan in a physical space, and it feels good. One of my key reset week tasks though is to prioritize getting better sleep, which means getting into bed earlier than I otherwise would. So I'm gonna go to bed now, maybe do a little bit of reading, and then go to sleep. We have another full day of resetting ahead of us tomorrow, so I want to make sure that I am well rested for it, especially because tomorrow we start brain work in terms of like goal setting, reflection, that kind of stuff. I wanted to put that at the start of the week because I figured it would be a better time for me to do it, unlike getting to something like Thursday where I am pretty much brain dead mess and just don't want to do anything that requires thinking. I figured that because I know reflection is so important, I'd rather do that when my mind could be better engaged. It won't be engaged if I don't go to bed though, so good night. Good morning, it is day 2. We are almost ready to roll out, in the sense that I'm almost ready to roll out of bed and get this day started. As per every day, we shall be starting with movement, and by that I mean going for a walk, and then I can come back, breakfast, shower, all that, and get into resetting. Now that I'm feeling fresh and clean, I am ready to tackle the day. Today, as mentioned, is brain work. So goal setting, reflection, all of that kind of a thing. For this, I'm going to be co-working in the Epic Goal Space, or what we call a work-along. We do these every week where we just get together, work on our goals and such. It's a good time. If you wanted more information about Epic Goals, it's listed in the description box, but I am going to start with reflecting on Q1. That reflection happens in here, or what is called my goals journal. And it's just a very simply set up journal that I use specifically for goal setting and planning. The first step in my goal session though is reflecting on the quarter that was. To make this process a little bit easier, I just have a goal reflection kind of cheat sheet stuck into the front of my journal, that one being a separate card that I can pull out and have alongside me as I do my reflection process. Really, I just go through each of the items on the list and answer those questions directly into my goals journal. The prompts include rewriting what my goals were for the quarter and also listing any other projects that I picked up along the way. I typically like to do a little progress report on those, so indicating which ones are finished, which ones are in progress, and also possibly the ones that have been scrapped. I like to write down any accomplishments or wins that I've had as related to my goals or other life areas, and then look at the things that I've been neglecting. What are those goals or action steps that I've been putting off time and time again? There are some other stages as well. I like to do a fairly thorough reflection process, just because I know that by doing this reflection with intention, it means that I can set myself up for success in the quarter ahead. There's a lot to be learned about our past behaviors when it comes to our goal setting and getting, so if I can acknowledge the things that I've learned, it means that I can take those learnings forward and make more progress. So far it's been about 40 minutes and you can see I've written down what goals I worked on, what projects I was working on, my accomplishments, and then also for the goals and projects we have a little kind of like progress report, so any of the ones that are done, the ones that are ongoing or like I kind of want to continue with them, versus the ones that I'm kind of just parking for now. We do still have plenty left on the little sheet though. We still need to look at the things I neglected, what was challenging, all of that kind of stuff, but plenty more space, so let's keep going. While I'm letting this process take quite a while because I like to do a thorough job and I don't want to feel rushed, you certainly do not have to spend as long as I am on this, especially if you kind of already know what you want to work on for the next quarter. It is totally fine to do a more brief reflection that doesn't go quite as deep as mine, and just get into the planning of your goals. As mentioned, I like to do the reflection process and I like to do it in depth because I know it can be powerful for me. But if you find that step a little bit too overwhelming, like it feels like too much to do all at once, you can certainly break it up and do it over separate sessions. You don't have to go as in-depth as I do. Or what can be useful is just time restricting yourself. I've given myself as much time as I want to be able to do this, which means that the time taken is definitely larger than it would be if I did something like time restricting. Time restricting can be a great tool for getting us to focus on any given project. So if I wanted this process to take less time, I could have told myself like, you only get 30 minutes to do your full reflection and then we have to move on to the next stage. Because I'm giving myself a full week for my resetting though, I don't mind if I go at a more leisurely pace. One of my favorite parts about this process is looking at my level 10 life. I try to do this every quarter just to see how things have changed. And pretty much everything either stayed the same or went up, except for work, which went down by 3, which honestly I'm like not that sad about because everything else is either staying steady or tending upwards, so that's pretty good. The main reason we probably saw a decrease in the work category is mainly because I've been thinking about changing my content strategy a little, possibly getting more into kind of like productivity focused stuff, videos like this and other things that are kind of related to that, rather than just strictly like journal setup type things. If you'd like to see more productivity related stuff, including videos like this, let me know in the comments. But that is the last step of the quarter 1 reflection, which means now we're into quarter 2 goal setting, or at least like brainstorming for my goal setting. Then I can select which goals I'm actually going to work on and plan them out, which I'm very looking forward to. When it comes to doing a goal brainstorm, I try to be fairly unfiltered, mainly because I don't want to restrict any of my thoughts. I want to reward my brain for having a thought and just writing it down on the paper. Just because it ends up on the list does not mean that I have to work on it or don't have to work on it right now. It might be the kind of thing that I do want to do at some stage, but it's not necessarily right for quarter 2. Once I have that list though, then I can go and select the ones that will actually get worked on. When it comes to making that selection, I try to be mindful that 3 months is all there is in a quarter, so I don't want to kind of pile too much onto my plate, get myself into a state of overwhelm that leads to just doing nothing. But as said, I like that idea of rewarding the brain for having a thought, so anything that comes to mind as a potential goal or project gets added to the list. Well, for now, the quarter 1 reflection and the quarter 2 brainstorming have been done, so now we're on to the goal planning. This is where I take each of these goals and consider what I want the final outcomes to be and how I'm gonna get there, essentially making like an action plan for myself so I know the individual steps that need to be taken to get from where I'm at to where I want to go. Here's kind of an example of what that can look like. So writing out what the goal is, why I want to work on it, any ideal outcomes I have, metrics of success, and then the steps I need to take. I do one of these kind of pages for all of the goals, and this time around all of the projects that I'm going to be working on. The main difference that I'm doing for a project versus a goal is that the project will have what the project is, any kind of deadlines, and then metrics of success. Whereas if we flip back, a goal will have the goal, why I'm working on it, and the ideal outcome for the end of quarter 2. I'm actually quite interested to see how putting both the goals and the projects in the goal planner works out. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be easier to kind of appreciate how much time I do or don't have to work on various things, because oftentimes when I do my goal plans, I've just been considering, like, what do I need to do for the goals? Like, when am I gonna do certain tasks and whatnot? And not really taking into account the fact that I'm also working on projects and have other life areas going on. I'm usually pretty good and not overloading myself in terms of the goal work until the projects come along, and then they take up my time and effort and energy. At the moment, I've got about an hour left to do on my goal planning and such before I have to have lunch and then leave the house. I'm thinking that I might take my goal planner with me though, because I might have some downtime while I'm out to do a little bit more work. And I also don't think that I'm going to be able to get everything planned in the next hour. Feeling pretty good so far. Of the 12 goals and projects that I have on my list, I have planned out 2 of them, kind of what I would consider to be in full at this stage. As I work on them, I might add additional steps, but I have a pretty good idea of how things are going to go for them. The remaining ones, I have all but 3 of them, I think, that I've at least started dabbling with, like outlining the kind of ideal outcome that I have for each of them. If it's a goal, thinking about the why behind them, metrics of success, that kind of a thing. But I haven't necessarily gotten to the point of action planning them, so specifying what steps I need to take in order to reach those goals or work on those projects. For now though, we have reached the 12:30 mark, so it's time to go have some lunch, because I need to have that so that I can head off, so that I can pick up Rachel, so that I can take her to her interview. I'm feeling positive. This is going well, but for now, lunch, because I am famished. I forgot how good my lunch was yesterday, and now I've just remembered, and I'm so excited about my lunch. Oh, it smells so good. And now it's gone, and I have to wait till tomorrow to have more. That's okay. Time to go get ready though, because I have to go. Goodbye, Virgil, I am leaving. Have a good day. As I mentioned before, I think I'm going to take my journal out with me, just because I can still do some planning and such while I wait for my friend's interview to be over. Not that I have any idea where her interview is and whether I'm just going to be like sitting in the car waiting for her. I might need to go find like a coffee shop to sit in or something like that. But this means it's a fun opportunity to pick out a pencil case. I'm gonna go with this one. Hee. So cute. It's got a little elastic on the back so I can attach it to the front of the journal. Sadly, this one is no longer available. I got it from Archer and Olive and they don't sell it anymore. But I do think this is a great way to just keep all of your supplies together so that when you take them out, they don't run the risk of getting lost. Or at least there's less of a risk of them getting lost. We will take this guy, and we're gonna take my drink bottle. I'm wondering if I take maybe headphones so I can listen to something, but I feel like that might distract me from what I'm trying to do in my journal, so I might just leave them at home. Plus, a little boredom is good for our creativity, so there's that. The place my friend works is close to where I used to go to school, which is always kind of interesting because I don't come around here very often. There's not really anything out here that I typically visit, so it's always interesting to see how things have changed. Like, the entrance to my school has completely been like refurbished, and I was like, oh, how fancy. But also I'm driving, so I'm not gonna be like sitting here rubbernecking at it. I'm just like, gotta get to where I'm going, and I gotta get there in one piece and safely and all of that. I ended up packing my stuff up into my handbag, which I very rarely take out because I usually don't take a lot of stuff with me when I go out, unless I'm going to Boudreaux Wednesday or something where I take all of my journals. Boudreaux Wednesday is at mine tomorrow though, so I don't have to worry about doing that. I just have to transport things from the top level of my house to the bottom level of my house, which doesn't usually require any kind of like major packing logistics. The drop-off has been done, she's gone in, her interview is happening soon, so fingers crossed for her. For now, I'm gonna go and see if I can find like a coffee shop maybe, get a drink, do some work in my journal. Should be good. One of the things that I've been meaning to do since starting working for myself however long ago was taking my work outside of the home and just getting in amongst people. Because I work for myself by myself, it means that I don't really have a lot of social connection time that's just those kind of casual, see people in a hallway, say hi to Paul at the water cooler kind of thing. For one, I don't live with a Paul, and 2, I don't own a water cooler. So I thought that it would probably be good for me at some stage to go out and maybe do work in a coffee shop, go to a public workspace or something. I'm not really too sure how that would look, and I also don't know what kind of work I would take with me, because so much of my work is done on a computer. But given the fact that my goal setting and goal planning was going to be done in my journal, it meant that I could just take that along with me, sit down, have a little drink. It was quite a pleasant experience, even though it was kind of awkward filming myself in public. Would certainly be something I'd be interested in exploring in future. Not a huge amount of progress, but still some progress. I don't know how long I have on my parking, so I'm gonna go back to the car, maybe go sit outside where my friend is having her interview and do some more work in there. Yeah, I don't think writing in my journal in the car is gonna be the most easy of tasks, but another task that I have on my reset list is to go and find or collate some possible recipes for lunches and breakfasts in particular for Q2. One of the things I've been trying this year is doing meal prep, so spending some time on a Sunday just preparing some breakfasts and lunches for the rest of that week, but I'm trying to make sure I don't duplicate on recipes too often. I've definitely done that in the breakfast category, and possibly also in the lunch category. So it'd be nice to have a bit of a kind of menu to pick from, I suppose, for the next quarter. So I might just sit here on my phone and scroll through recipe ideas. And that is exactly what I did. Can't really show you any footage from this because I film with my phone, but here's a reenactment of me scrolling for recipes. Of course, in doing that, I realized how dusty my car is. Did I find any recipes? No, but my friend got back in the car, she told me her interview went well, so that's really exciting. For now, we're gonna go home and I'm gonna continue working on my journal because there's still a bunch of plans that I want to kind of solidify, especially given it is brain work day, because the later in the week we get, the less inclined I am to do brain work. Just now, I have learnt the very important lesson of making sure to check in with your plan regularly to make sure that you are on track. I forgot that I was supposed to be populating my budgeting information this afternoon before we had dinner. So now dinner is about an hour away. I think I should be able to make it, but I did originally schedule to have an hour and a half to do this. Whoops. It's all good. It's fine. At least I can just kind of prioritize getting the stuff into the finance tracker so that I can have my financial meeting with Vogel after dinner. Thankfully, putting things into my finance tracker has been made easier with a new Excel document that I set up for myself, which I effectively call a bill converter. It just takes any of the exported information from my online banking and transforms that into the format that I like to put into my finance tracker. So essentially going through and putting a little description of what each of the charges was for, in theory, based on previous data, noting down when it was charged, how much it was charged, what budget category it goes into, and most of that's done automatically. The only things I need to check are charges for places we haven't made a purchase before. Because we're in the middle of wedding planning though, there are a few different places we've been making purchases that we haven't made purchases from before, which meant for a little bit more admin on my part, but most of it is essentially just copy the data into the bill converter and then copy the transform data into the finance tracker. It took me about 20 minutes, but I have everything into our finance tracker now, so at least everything is logged. Now I need to go and log them with my tax people, and I had given myself an hour on my schedule to do that because I expected it would take that long. I only have half an hour until dinner though, so I'm gonna try and get it done as fast as possible. We'll see how it goes. This essentially just involves going through any of the charges that I've flagged as being things that I could get a tax reimbursement for because they're specifically used for my work or partially used for my work, though you can only claim them in part then, making sure I have receipts for all of those things and then uploading them all to my tax people. I do not know why we decided to make tax so difficult, but I do very much appreciate that I now have a company that does that for me, because trying to navigate that myself, I don't think of myself as a particularly dim person. I like to think that I have the skill set to learn new things, but learning tax is just something that I've decided I'm not going to be doing. So that is what the tax people are for. They will handle that business for me, so hopefully everything is above board. The main problem I have though is getting receipts for some of the things that are technically business purchases, but the receipts aren't easily downloadable. One of the reasons that I moved to my new phone provider was because my last phone provider, I had to go through their awful messaging service every single month to get my receipts from them, and turns out that my new provider, I have to effectively do the same thing for, but I get to sit on the phone on hold and listen to the same 3 songs on repeat through bad speakers. I don't know what it is with hold music. It never comes through well. The songs I know are fine songs, and I know my speakers are fine because my phone is funnily enough, not a piece of trash. So I'm like, what are you doing? Which makes it so that these songs are so awful to listen to. That is unfortunate. I am definitely going to be putting off having to do this, so maybe do it like only 4 times a year rather than every single month. Frustrating. But at least my expenses are getting logged. It took a second, but the business expenses have been logged successfully, feeling very positive. It's never a super fun job, but it is a very satisfying job, which means that I am now more ready for the finance meeting with Vogel. It's not like a big kerfuffle, it's more just a check-in to say like, hey, how much have we spent this month? Was that more or less than the prior month? Is it within the budgeted amounts that we had set for ourselves? I also want to do a little review of the targets we've set for ourselves and whether we still think they're realistic, because this is our first year of setting targets in each of our budgeted categories, so we may not necessarily have been as realistic as we could have been. Like, we used historical data to figure it out, but because it's the first time, I think we might have been, like, a little bit more optimistic in some categories. In particular, I'm thinking about home and household, because we had a lot of home projects that happened in January, February, and March. We're not planning on having a lot more of them, but I still want to make sure that there are some funds set aside for that, so good to have a check-in. But I can at least before dinner check off that the expenses have been logged and I have populated the finance tracker. Reviewing Q1, reviewing spendings and goals and all of these things, they're gonna happen after dinner. What do you think is gonna be our biggest spend category outside of expected bills?
Does our wedding count as expected bills?
No, it is its own category.
Oh, well then it'll be a holiday.
We haven't even spent any money on that yet though.
Oh, you mean now? I thought you meant for the year.
No, now!
Groceries.
Groceries?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I probably have insider trading. I have insider knowledge, so I feel like it's probably more likely to be a home and household.
I will say that is literally the definition of insider trading, is having insider knowledge.
Oh no! Am I the inside trader? If we look at the month of March, our biggest spend category was actually wedding, so you were right. Kinda.
Yeah, I did say wedding.
No, you said travel. You said vacation.
I said wedding and you said that was dumb.
No. You thought that Canada was going to be included in wedding, but Canada's going to be included in vacation.
Anyway, I'm right.
Sure. Anyway, I'm right.
Did you like that? Like, you said some stuff, I didn't understand it, but what I heard was that I was correct.
Literally since this conversation, we've already changed our mind in terms of where we're going to be honeymooning. But as part of our household meeting, we essentially just go through each of our budgeted categories, compare our spending in those areas to what we had predicted or hoped to be spending, looking at where we were over, looking at where we were under, reevaluating any budgeting targets for ourselves, and essentially just making sure we were both comfortable with where our finances were going. This process is still quite new to us because previously we've kind of just logged what we've been spending money on, like how much money came in, how much money went out, but not necessarily done anything with that information. The practice is a work in progress, but we're feeling pretty good about it so far. Following our budget meeting was supposed to be my leisure time. It's now 8 o'clock, so I should be like at least half an hour into leisure time. I got a little bit sidetracked because I started doing some wedding planning kind of stuff and putting in bookings and whatnot, so that should be wrapping up soon, and then I can have my Tuesday leisure time. Yay, it's time for leisure, and by leisure I mean helping Vogel deal with the noodle mess that is behind his desk.
I'm Vogel.
Are you also a noodle mess?
No.
Excellent work.
I used to, but I had to cut my hair because I'm balding.
Aww. Progress shot. And also Vogel, who's off doing another task now. I've been abandoned. Wow.
I'm doing something important for our wedding.
Your bachelor party is not our wedding.
It's very important.
It's not perfect, but it is better.
Better! I only have 3 things I'll change.
Oh?
Yes. I might change the mouse, I might change the speaker, and I'll do my camera tomorrow because I got a thread and we want to watch The Rookie.
I thought there was a spider crawling up the wall. It was a fly.
What?
Gross.
It's not better. It is better.
I was like listening to him talk, just going But tasks for resetting for today are done. We're feeling positive. Day 2 complete, which means now it's onto kind of more formal leisure time as opposed to helping Vogel do his cable management. We're going to watch The Rookie, and then we're going to go to bed. Good night. night. Good morning. We are walking by ourselves today because Vogel is going to the office for work, so he can't really walk in the morning with me. In terms of the schedule for today, it's a little bit loose because I don't actually really have anything planned, which probably just goes to show that, like, just because I'm doing reset week doesn't mean it needs to actually be a week. It's effectively just Parkinson's law in action, the idea that work will expand to fill the time available. So by giving myself a week to do my resetting, it will take a week to do. But if I wanted to do this in 3 days, I probably could. I'd probably have to cut some parts of it out, but I don't really want to, so it's a week. I think what I'm gonna do is finish off my walk, and then when I get home and have breakfast and shower and all that, kind of just review my calendar and see what I could possibly bring forward or what I could do productively this morning so I can have time off in the afternoon. Walking and talking is hard, so back to my music for me. Walking is done, breakfast is done. Breakfast was delicious. I mean, it's always delicious. It's like fruit and a muffin, but still. Anyway, because of my lack of plans this morning, I'm gonna take Vogel to the station so that he can get to work in a timely manner, which means he might also get home in a timely manner, to be seen. And then after that, I will figure out what it is I need to do with the rest of my day. I have some things I'm already thinking I can probably move forward, maybe in the categories of like PD, personal and or professional development, and also possibly some work tasks that I was gonna do tomorrow, but I could do today. Just like spread the work out over the week, a little sprinkling along with the first day that was very much like work focused. Because I don't have Saturday's video ready. I am still technically waiting on some footage pieces for it, but I could at least start getting it ready. Doing future me a favor. Anyway, need to take Vogel to work. Vogel has been dropped off at the station, but while I'm out, I figured I'd go to the supermarket and grab a couple things that I know we need. Typically, if I was doing a reset week where I had to go out of the house quite a lot, which I guess this week I've now at least left the house twice, but I try to batch those things together so it just saves me on trips. So making sure that if I have things that I need to do outside of the house that are in similar areas, kind of doing those at the same time just to save on time, because the commute time obviously adds up if you're taking a lot of trips out of the house and, like, you know, sporadically going out and doing little bits and pieces. The only other trip that I have to take out of the house this week that I am aware of is going to a doctor's appointment. That one is booked in for Friday though, so it doesn't really help where I'm at right now. But we're at the supermarché and it is time to go and get some strawberries. And bread rolls for dinner because soup is just better with bread. I love these because they look like a watermelon, but they're really, really small. Melon ball. Yeah, we're just gonna get some of those as well. And now I need to escape before I accidentally buy more than I need to, because I start going window shopping. I mean, I just had breakfast and I'm not like super hungry, but when I'm hungry, it's particularly bad. It's like, oh, I could get that. Oh, look, a little snack. No, we don't need it. As someone who rarely leaves the house, it was actually kind of nice just to go out for a kind of mindless task, I suppose. Not actually any kind of like set event or anything like that. That doesn't mean I want to do it every single day, but being out with other people, like just in a kind of very casual sense, was quite nice. Being out without having had my shower though, that was not so nice, so I'm gonna get ready for the day because bleh. After showering, doing my hair, making sure I felt presentable for the day, and opening the curtains because that seems to matter to Vogel more than it does to me, then it was time to head back to the office and figure out what I was gonna do with my day. Got to my desk and checked my email, but it looks like my morning has been planned for me because I have emails from wedding vendors. So I'm going to sort that out first and then review the stuff that I might want to do. I'm thinking though, because I don't really enjoy face forward filming very much. This doesn't count. This feels more like chatting with a friend, but more so the type where, you know, we've got we'll just spin around. Whee! This guy, the face forward camera, and have the studio lights on. That always feels a lot more confronting, I suppose. And I always feel like I have to be more put together than I usually am. So I figured if I get that out of the way today, then I don't have to do it tomorrow. It's just like a little present for future me. For now though, we need to go deal with the wedding vendors. All right, it's time. We're doing it. We're gonna film a thing. I don't know why, it's just every time I need to do the face forward, it's just like a monumental task to get me to do it. I think there's just something that feels different about holding a camera like 30 centimeters away from my face versus having a camera on a tripod with the lights going in my face, which just makes it feel more daunting. I know at the end of the day I can edit out anything I don't want to include, but I do give myself this weird pressure to do everything in one take, even though I know that's not realistic for how I film things. In vlog style videos like this, I'm a little bit more comfortable with it being a little bit more unpolished, but I certainly put more pressure on myself when it comes to the more official face forward filming. Good enough. It really wasn't that bad. I always just work it up in my head to be something so much worse than it's actually going to be, and thus procrastinate starting, which kind of just snowballs my thinking into like, you're procrastinating because it's hard, so it's gonna be hard, so we should procrastinate it. Cumulative causation. Awful. But we can turn those lights off. Which honestly, I'm kind of thinking about removing the lights and getting a different kind of solution there. Like, I like the backlighting, I think it looks cool, but it's not set up quite the way I want it to be. Neither is the shelf. It needs some work. Not today, not this week, but it needs some work. Having a look at the calendar for today though, you can see I've gone and updated some of the things in this general region, just so that then I have an accurate record of what we were doing, or I guess what I was doing. Mainly so for next reset week, I can come and have a look at this and see how long things actually took me. I'm gonna do a little bit more work here because we're only sitting at, what, 10:43, and I've scheduled this up until 11. And then after that, I think I'm gonna continue with my goal setting work. Mainly because, like we talked about yesterday, the later on in the week we get, the more of a puddle my brain is going to turn into, and I don't want to be doing big thinking work during puddle time. Puddle time is better for physical activities like meal prepping and getting out and doing stuff in the house or the garden or like anything like that. Anything where I don't need to like really super much engage my brain. If I'm doing kind of like deep thinking work, that is much better for when my energy is higher. In terms of the block of time that's left though, I think I'm gonna do just a little bit of home admin and then use the rest of the time for leisure. One of the big important parts about Reset Week is taking time to just relax and chill. Because I'm the kind of person who does tend to work a lot, I enjoy my work and thus I spend a lot of time doing it. Having those boundaries and having time to rest and recuperate and recharge, I don't give myself as much as I probably should. And then when I do give myself time to do that, I get into this weird mindset of like, how can I have the most productive resting time possible? Which almost kind of defeats the point. So I might, during that point in time, actually step away from my office because it does encourage me to be as productive as possible. Maybe I'll go play some Xbox or something. Even though not every goal and project has a full list of things that I need to do for them, I feel like this is the most prepared I have ever felt in terms of coming into a new quarter and just knowing when things are going to be done, what needs to be done for them. Some of them only have the first action step. Like for instance, one of the projects we have is getting our shower fixed, and the first project step for that is getting in touch with the people who installed the shower because I sent them pictures of the issue last week and they haven't gotten back to me. So I just called them. They said they're going to have a read over it and get back to me soon. So hopefully that is what happens. But seriously, I'm feeling very good about this. I haven't necessarily mapped all of them to weeks just yet, but I want to kind of go through them and make sure I'm not trying to pile too much onto my plate at the very start of the quarter, because that's a very good way to get overwhelmed. Some of these I do want to kind of prioritize as like first up in the quarter versus maybe into the second month of the quarter or something like that. So it requires a little bit of forethought so I don't get future Jess overwhelmed. For now though, what I'm going to do is actually start thinking about a personal development plan. I have a lot of books that I say I want to read at some point and then never get around to reading them. There are skills I would like to build by reading these books. So I'm going to plan one book for each of the 3 months of the next quarter that I'm specifically going to read and take notes on and all of that kind of thing to just like skill up. To do this, we are going to have to go and look at Goodreads, because that's where I keep my TBR. Well, for one thing, I need to finish off the 2 books that I'm already reading this month, but that is not a right now problem. And I have a decent list of books that I can pick from, it's just actually picking them, which is always the hard part. After much deliberation, and by that really I just mean trusting my gut feeling, I am going with Slow Productivity in April, $1 Million Weekend in May, and Buy Back Your Time in June. Even just committing to 1 book per month is going to do better than what I was previously doing, which was more like 1 per quarter. Like saying, oh, I want to read this book and that book, and just like piling them up on my TBR and never getting to actually reading them. I've got my plan. Now I just need to stick with it. One of my worst habits is when I'm trying to be productive, but I don't really feel like it. So I just kind of like stuff around on my computer and it's like, okay, well, what if we just committed to leisure time instead? What if instead of stuffing around, doing not very much, not being productive, but then also not being restful because you feel guilty about not being productive, how about we just do some intentional leisure time. That's essentially where we got to. I ended up going through and looking at my wedding checklist and getting rid of anything that didn't really need to be there, mainly because it's a checklist that I didn't make myself. It was one that was given to me from my wedding planner, which I very much appreciate, but some of the tasks I didn't need to have on there. But once I was finished with that, I then got distracted by a bunch of other stuff. And then I got bored of that, and then I started scrolling Instagram and Facebook and just not doing anything super fabulous with my time. I don't want Reset Week to be like that, so instead we are going to go downstairs, have lunch, and intentionally just spend the rest of the afternoon off, because that is the point of Reset Week. Rest, recuperation, resetting. Eventually, I will also deal with the package that arrived today, but it is technically for Vogel and myself, so I'm gonna wait till he gets home. In getting out today's lunch, I also have to make sure that I get out tomorrow's lunch so I can defrost. Get out, like, put it in the fridge rather than being in the freezer, because this reheats from cold, but not ice. But this frozen one is the second one left, which is fine, I can make it again. It was really tasty. I'm excited for today's lunch, yet again. We want a cheeky cola. Close. Rude. I feel like the next time I meal prep this for lunch, I'm gonna need to make bigger portions because I have thoroughly enjoyed my lunch every day of the week, and every time I got to the end of it, I'm like, oh, I want more. If you want the recipe, I've left it in the pinned comment down below, so be sure to check that out, and make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it so far. But I'm kind of thinking that before I get into my leisure time, I might actually prepare dinner early. We're having soup for dinner, so it's the kind of thing I can prepare and then just reheat when company arrives. And it also means that when they're here, I don't have to worry about getting that all sorted. For this, I just chucked on a YouTube video and then stood at the kitchen island and prepared all the ingredients. And then when it was time to cook, I changed over to watching it on my phone because, funnily enough, with filming this video, I had my mini tripod downstairs, which made it really easy. So my soup is coming along well, but I decided that at the same time I was going to undertake another project. Recently, we have had a leak that's been coming through that power socket and dripping down onto the car. Poor Claire, she doesn't deserve this. But we got a plumber over to have a look at it, and they cut 2 gorgeous holes in my ceiling, which was super not necessary because it wasn't a leak under there, it was a leak in the shower itself. I don't blame them, it's just a frustrating happening. But they encouraged us to get in touch with our insurance people, like not so much the insurance people, but the people who installed the shower for their insurance or whatever, I don't know. Turns out that it is like well outside of the warranty, supposedly, because shower installations only have a 2-year warranty. That's cool, it's fine, I just don't want there to be holes in my ceiling or a leaky shower. So I have undertaken getting them back to fix my shower. Thankfully, it hasn't been too hard so far. It was just chase up the people who had built the home, find out about whether that's under warranty, and then call the original plumbers when it wasn't under warranty anymore. So, waiting to hear back. Hopefully we could get that fixed this week so I could use my shower again. Because I'm kind of sick of using the shower in the spare bathroom. I just don't like it as much. Anyways, time to vitamize some soup. Dinner soup is done, plus baby soup is for future meals. I kind of portioned them out so that there's 1 serve per container, or at least 1 Jess serve per container, which is about a cup of soup. Honestly, most of the time when I have soup, it's really because I want to have something to dip bread into, but hey, at least I have some meals. With the dinner prepped though, it was time to get cozy on the couch and do some gaming. I've been going through my second playthrough of Life is Strange Double Exposure, so that's what I was enjoying here. But I didn't realize quite how tired I was gonna get just sitting there playing my game. Did I fall asleep while gaming? Yes, but I'm awake now, and that means it's Boudreaux Wednesday time, and I get to work in my journal, which it definitely needs some work. I think I might get to populating April, because at least now I have my goal plans, I can put stuff into my calendar. Boudreaux Wednesday is a tradition dating back to August 2017, where each week, funnily enough on a Wednesday, my friends and I meet up and do bullet journaling together. Or just general journaling together. It doesn't have to specifically be for bullet journaling. Each week though, we go to one of our houses, that person cooks us dinner, and we just have a chill time hanging with friends. This week, notably, it was at my place, and while I was focusing on getting my April set up, Rachel was working in her reading journal. Of course, we had the soup that I prepared earlier for dinner, and that being ready to go when Rachel got here meant that I could just spend more time in her company doing leisure work. Bogo, what is it?
Stuff.
Vague.
Glass bottles that do spritzu.
That one? Yeah.
Got this
All
one.
the colours of the rainbow, including 2 greens. 3 greens? That's a lot of greens.
This one.
I assume that the colouring is not on the outside of the package.
Yeah, I don't think so because They're all white on the other side.
Here we go. So it has a little spray function. You press down the lever and you can use the spray oil. And then if you, it's got a little pour function as well. So you can pour the oil. It's so cute. Rachel's making a mess. It's not that bad. I like her flowers.
Thank you. And this is my picture.
Oh, that looks good. I like how it covers my face perfectly.
Yeah.
Rude.
Bujo Wednesday went well. I have officially finished planning all of my goals and projects, because I still had a couple that I needed to finish off. I semi-populated my everyday journal. It definitely needs some more work, but that is a future me problem. For right now, we are dropping Rachel home, coming home, and going to bed. So, good night. Good morning. For resetting today, it is going to be part workday, part other areas of reset. The only thing that I know I have scheduled is doing some work, mainly because my Saturday video isn't done, so I need to make sure that is organized. I like to do the bulk of that work on a Thursday, so that then like it's not the day before the video is supposed to come out, because if anything goes wrong, which it won't, but if anything goes wrong, then I have a little bit of buffer at least to work with. It is dark down here. For right now, I'm getting my things together and I'm going to be going on my morning walk. I've been trying to do more walking recently, mainly because I live my life at a desk. You know, most of my work is at a desk. So I actually don't really get a lot of steps just naturally in the day. It would be nice to get a little bit more movement. So starting the day with a walk just helps me achieve that goal. It's literally just me walking around the block, but the block is long enough that it takes me about a half an hour, so that's not too shabby. Need my bottle, need my shoes, need to get going. Totally forgot my sunglasses. Next time, add to the list. Hat, shoes, sunglasses. Not that it is particularly sunny, so I think I'll be okay, but it doesn't feel right. Breakfast is finished now, and honestly, I'm just so glad that Jess from last week thought it was a good idea to schedule out blocks of time to do different things, because it means I'm just following the plan. You know, I'm just working through the stuff the past Jess said, like, yep, we're gonna do this, and then this, and then this. So in terms of work for today, this morning, what we're gonna be doing is, one, getting ready for the day, because I'm still bleh. But then we're gonna do the video editing like we already talked about, and then after that, before lunch, I have scheduled a time to look at my digital calendar. So thinking about scheduling events and recurring tasks that I want to do, essentially taking anything that's kind of like routine or habit building from my goals list and putting that onto my calendar, because if it's on the calendar, it's way more likely to happen, as opposed to just being like, oh yeah, I want to do this thing every single day, but I'm just gonna leave it up to chance as to when I'm gonna do it. I'm putting on a voice here, but honestly, that's been my approach previously. Hasn't worked so well. So I figure if I put it on the calendar, set aside the specific times I want to do it, even if those move, you know, at the start of each week when I go and actually, you know, align my calendar with reality, the building blocks will be there and I can put them at a time that is going to be most suitable for that week. I'm very much looking forward to having that stuff on there, and also just having more yellow on my calendar, because yellow on my calendar is related to goals and personal development and that kind of stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. But what I'm really looking forward to is having a shower, because oh, and we also have the plumber coming today, so hopefully my shower will get fixed. Video editing is definitely not my favorite sport, but this one was made easier by pre-recording those clips yesterday, and also because it was a collaboration video which just features content from other creators. Essentially, all the collaborating creators offered up a 1 to 2 minute video clip, and I just had to stitch them together in an order that made sense, and do the intro and outro and my own clip as well. I love doing these collaboration videos, 1, because it is easy content for me to make, and 2, it just gives me an opportunity to share the work of other people. There's a lot of creativity in our space, and it's just nice to get to share other people's awesome ideas. While I have been editing my video though, the plumber has come and plugged up the holes in the ceiling. It's not looking like super attractive right now, but if the fix in the shower actually holds, then they're gonna get a plasterer and a painter to come back and make that look a little bit prettier. He made it sound like the fix was going to be hideous, but it actually really doesn't look all that bad. I think he did a really good job of it. I'm just fingers crossed that that is the fix we need and everything will be fine. We're not allowed to use the shower until like Sunday, and then after that we get to monitor it for a week, so fingers crossed. I'm feeling positive. Still working on the thumbnail for the video, but I am still within the time that I assigned myself by about 15 minutes, so I think I should be able to get it done in the next 15 minutes, and then we can move on to my calendar stuff. That one is uploaded now, looking good, ready to be released on the weekend, which means it's time for me to look at my calendar. Thankfully, I already made a little section in my layout to remind me what I wanted to do with regards to updating my calendar. Otherwise, it would just be me sitting and staring at my calendar for an hour. That's not really all that productive. One of the things I in particular want on my calendar is an ideal weekly schedule, so then I can put that as an overlay when I'm kind of planning out my calendar for the week, just so I know roughly when I would ideally be doing things. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way every single week, it just gives me a starting point to plan everything from. Along with that, I also want to schedule in those recurring events, things for goals, things for kind of like routines and habits I'm trying to build, just so that they're already on there, which means they're more likely to happen. When it comes to making an ideal weekly schedule, I would recommend doing this in a calendar separate to the one that you use to schedule your actual appointments and such, mainly because this is just supposed to be an overlay. It's just something you can put on top of your regular calendar to see where ideally things would end up, but that doesn't mean you have to be married to the idea of those events being in those particular time blocks. While it would be nice to get to a point where I had a very set ideal weekly schedule, like, hey, every Monday morning we're doing this, Monday afternoon we're doing this, so on and so forth, I'm not quite at that level yet. There are certain things that happen during the work week that are pretty routinized, like having the live stream on a Monday morning, at least my time, having our epic goals meeting on Tuesday morning, those kind of things. But when it comes to my filming and editing, it kind of depends on what kind of videos I'm putting out for the week or the week after as to when I need to work on particular things. So setting up the ideal calendar took a little bit longer than expected, but it's looking pretty good. You can see there are still some white blocks in there, and that's because my work structure kind of changes from week to week just depending on what I'm doing. So I might not necessarily need to do the same type of work every single day. I'm thinking that the editing block is probably okay. I might end up changing it, but essentially any kind of white space on that calendar before the WURO, which is wrap up and round out, all of the space in there is open for general work doings. So we can check off that one as being done. Now to schedule other stuff. I'm not very good at being intentional about my days off. I just kind of end up falling into them. Again, in one of those instances where I want to be productive, but I'm not being productive, but I don't want to just kind of like call it a leisure day because then I feel like I'm admitting defeat or something. I don't even know. But I figured if I mark them in on my calendar and then honor them as leisure days, my leisure time will be more enjoyable, guilt-free, all of those kind of things, which I think will just be a lot more positive. And I want to make sure that I have at least one dedicated leisure day per week. That doesn't necessarily mean leisure is the only thing I'll do on that day. Like I might do housework or stuff like that as well, but it's specifically not for work, if that kind of makes sense. Having those days off on the calendar is already making me feel more positive about the fact that I might actually get some time off during Q2. That'd be nice. But for now, I'm gonna go and sort lunch, mainly because in half an hour I've got a YouTube meeting. It's effectively just me and some other creators who all do YouTubing, and we get together once a fortnight to talk about strategy and whatever else. But I want to make sure that I've eaten before that, because otherwise I show up hangry, which does not make for a very pleasant Jess. Have to make sure that we grab out the next frozen meal though, so that we have one for tomorrow. Baby! I'm really just tempted to make the exact same thing for lunch next week. That is actually something I need to do. I think it's on the calendar already for tomorrow, is organizing what meals I want to have for both next week and also just some options for Q2. We did start doing that while I was taking friend to interview, but didn't get very far. It is a tomorrow problem, but you know. That's the nice part about having those things on the calendar, is that I don't have to ruminate on it. Otherwise, if it wasn't on the calendar, I'd be sitting here going, okay, yep, don't forget to do that. You got to do that. Make sure to write that down. Have you done it? Yada, yada. Like, having it on the calendar just means that I get some peace of mind from those kind of thoughts. It is scheduled. It has a dedicated time and place, I guess. I'll probably do it at my computer because that's where my ability to search for recipes is. Yeah. Meeting went well, had interesting conversation about YouTube memberships and how those work and such. And now we're into the part of reset week that I knew coming in was going to be the least enjoyable part. And I feel like even just saying that has put me in a negative mindset, so I take it back. It's going to be fine. I hope. But that is doing my inbox zero. I have been putting this off for months. My work inbox is like... All things considered, it's actually not that bad compared to some people's inboxes, but I'm not good at responding to emails. So to have 248 items with 52 unread, it gives me the heebie-jeebies. I think the key thing to do here is try and make it fun. I'm gonna put on some music so that there's something more interesting going on. Maybe, because I need to be able to read the emails. I'm gonna try. In particular, I'm gonna try and see if I can do this fast, because I don't want to do it. In the end, I effectively decided to gamify the process by seeing how many emails I could sort in 10-minute increments. To do this, I just used my little desk timer, which has a nice digital face that shows me how much time is remaining. I find that setting a visible timer can be so good for just holding me accountable to doing the thing that I said I was going to do. I made sure to record how many emails I started with so that I could keep track of my progress, and just went through trying to clear out as much as I could in that 10-minute block. Oh my god, you scared me. Okay, at the end of the first 10-minute block, I am still writing an email. So I've only got my number down to 208, but that's not too bad. On to the second 10-minute block though, so let's get back to it. Another option for these timers, rather than having one that sits on your desk like in a physical space, you can also put on a YouTube video timer. We have a playlist of those. I've linked them in the description box for you. I find them so super helpful for being able to time restrict any task that I'm working on. I'm normally most inclined to use them for any task that I see as unappealing, because it effectively gives me this mentality of let's race the clock. Alrighty. Another block down. We are now at 182 with 37 unread, so that's not too shabby. And the funny thing is that I haven't felt bored yet. Like, we've been doing this for 20 minutes, I haven't felt bored, I have been focused on the task at hand, and I know it's very much thanks to my little timer. This timer Vogel got me for Christmas, because I wanted it. Like, I told him that I wanted to have a little timer. But I love that it tells you the time on the face of it. Like, you can see it, it's visible, and it's got different amounts of time. So you just flip it to whichever amount of time you want. So, for instance, the 10-minute one, you put the 10-minute up, starts counting down from 10 minutes. Very helpful. One of the other big things that can really help with this process is keeping track of your progress. For me, that was writing down how many emails I had gotten through with each different iteration, just so that I could actually see that number going down in a stepwise manner. That way we can focus more on how far we've come rather than how far there is left to go. I'm still in the middle of writing a response, but we're at 149 with 28 unread. Admittedly, I can't remember how many unread I had to start with, so I don't know how much of an improvement that is. But we started at 248 in the folder, so we're almost, like, so close to 100 down, which isn't too bad. This is still taking longer than I think would be ideal, because I could definitely keep on top of my email better and it wouldn't be quite as large a task, but I think that I'm getting slowly into the swing of things. I do like the idea of having the 10-minute timers, because then it gives me like a comparison point for each of these and seeing how well I'm going with each iteration. Not that I've actually calculated the difference between any of those numbers, so give me a sec. So we have 40 down in the first block, 26 in the second, and 39 in the third. Let's see how many we can do this time. One of the things you can do when sorting your inbox, which can be quite helpful, is playing around with the different sorting features. One of the ones that I like to use is sorting by who it's from, because then if you have any newsletters that, you know, they're from a particular person or brand, company, and you just aren't going to read them, you can very quickly and very easily remove all of those at once. Another idea is sorting by the date that it came into your inbox, because if something's been there for 2 years, they're probably not waiting on a response from us. Not to say any of mine had been there for quite that long, but, you know, if left to my own devices, I'm sure that it would happen. Alrighty, at the end of the next 10-minute stint, where are we at? Yay, we're underneath the 100 mark. Progress is being made. In terms of the amount of time I had scheduled for this, I scheduled myself 2 hours, so we're kind of like, I know it's only been like 4 blocks, but we are technically approaching the 2-hour mark, mainly because I started a little bit late and I took a break in between to have a call with my mother and just like some other things have been happening. But getting down to 94 is not too shabby. That means in the last stint we did 55 emails. And if I continue with that volume per 10 minutes, then I should only need 2 more sessions. Let's go. A word of caution, and I totally should have taken this advice myself, but it's not usually a good idea to make your expected progress the same as your best progress. Comparing the last little sprint sessions I'd done, 55 was well above some of the previous ones, so to hold myself to the standard of getting 55 done again in 10 minutes, probably not super likely. especially because in that block where I'd done 55, I had gone and removed a bunch of newsletters without having to do a whole bunch of processing for them.
Alrighty.
72. So, not as good as the last one. I might have been just a little bit optimistic about keeping the 55 train going. I don't even know how I managed 55. Did I just count wrong? Can confirm that I counted correctly, but as mentioned, that's because I probably went through and did a whole bunch of easy ones like newsletters and such. It's good to note that not all tactics are going to work for us all the time. So for instance, this one where I'm trying to race the clock, see as much as I can get done in a 10-minute block, that one started off quite useful for me, but now as we're getting to several hours into this job, the novelty's wearing off a little bit, so maybe I need to find something else that's going to help keep me motivated to keep going. We're now at 57, which means I think I'm getting to the point of diminishing returns. Comparing my breakdowns, we've gone, 40, 26, 39, 55, which was impressive, 22, and 15. I still want to finish this, even though it's taking longer than planned. I have scheduled on my calendar to work on this until 4 o'clock, so even though I'm not feeling it, I'm going to at least finish it out. I have about 15 minutes left, and I think rather than setting the timer, because, diminishing returns kind of a thing, I'm just gonna see how much I can get done before 4 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock we're going to change task to something that is just more enjoyable. I feel like I need to figure out what that is. Alrighty, I'm gonna pick out a video that looks enjoyable and look forward to that and see how much I can get done before 4, and then watch my video as like a little reward for working up until 4 o'clock. Are the emails finished? No, but 4 o'clock is here, and I'm going to be keeping this promise to myself. I told myself I was allowed to watch a video at 4 o'clock, have a little brain break, so that is what I will be doing, even though the emails aren't done. I'm currently sitting at 34, so it's really not that bad. But I think I'll watch my video, that'll take about 15-ish minutes, and then I'll spend the next 15 minutes just trying to get through that 34. If after that I still haven't finished it, then I know it is time to change track. I watched the video, had a good time with that, decided to do my personal and shared with Vogel inboxes, and those ones were really, really easy. Those ones are done. I still have like 28 emails in my work inbox, and it's almost 5 o'clock, so I'm probably just gonna call it. It would have been nicer to get them finished, but I'm thinking maybe I will just dedicate like half an hour at the start of tomorrow to get the rest of them done, because I'll be feeling a little fresher, I'll be able to tackle it with more energy, and it won't feel like such a slog. I hope. For now, I think I'm going to leave the office because this has become a tainted space with negative feelings about inbox 0, and instead go downstairs and start some meal prep for dinner. Thursday is always my lowest energy day, especially when it comes to the afternoon, which is part of the reason why I put the email inbox on this day, because I figured if I was feeling low energy, I wouldn't be motivated to say yes to things that I otherwise wouldn't say yes to. Like, sometimes when we're high energy, we have a tendency to overcommit to things. Like, oh yeah, that sounds great. This is an amazing opportunity. I can totally do that thing. And then we get to the low energy periods and we're like, cool, thanks past me, signing me up for a whole bunch of work that I now don't want to do. If we tackle the inbox while we're low energy, then in theory, we won't overcommit like that. The only issue is that I didn't necessarily have enough energy to get through the slog that was tackling my inbox, but we made really good progress, and I'm feeling good about that. Even though it isn't completely done, I know I'll be able to finish it off tomorrow, and getting it from, 240 something, 248 or whatever we started with, down to like 28, that's the decent achievement, so I can still be proud of that kind of progress. Because I'm now in a bit of an mood, I think I'm gonna make some what I call dessert apples. It's effectively just like apples that are cut up into pieces, cooked on the stove in a pot, and put some cinnamon and maybe some sugar in it. I think it'd be nice to have like a little dessert apple snack for after dinner. That'd be kind of nice, but we could never really be bothered making it after dinner. Once we've eaten, it's like, okay, we have to tidy up, and now we don't feel like doing anything. So I'm gonna make dessert apples now. Yay. Dessert apples are done and smelling glorious. I got some potatoes in the oven to make wedges. Broccoli is sitting looking pretty. And we're gonna have a steak. Going with a fairly easy mode dinner tonight because it's Thursday, and this is typically the day that we would be the most inclined to get takeout. So if we make it something super, super easy, then in theory, we won't get takeout. It seems to have gone well for the past couple of weeks. I think that we didn't have takeout on Thursday last week. I think the week before we went out because we were picking up my wedding ring, so we ended up having takeout then. But it was like a planned thing and turned into a date night. It wasn't just like, I'm lazy, I don't want to cook, and none of the recipes excite me type of a thing. Which totally happens. Usually on Thursdays.
How is it?
It's very good.
Yay!
Chips are nice and crispy and very hot.
Oh, yep.
Steak is well cooked. Not well done. It's cooked to an appropriate amount.
Very good. Have you tried your broccoli yet?
I have.
Oh. Notice how he said nothing about the broccoli.
Yeah, I didn't want it on camera. I was going to give you feedback after you stopped filming.
When I said that I was accepting feedback, I meant compliment. I'm sure it's not that bad. The dessert apples were brilliant, but now dinner and dessert is over. So I am going to be decanting our oils from their existing bottles into our new ones, which are so fancy. I'm very excited. I don't know quite what it is about decanting things from their original packaging into fancy, nice packaging, but it makes me feel like a real adult. That is not to say that you need these kind of things to be a, quote, real adult, but I just like the way they look, and I know that with the spray function for all of our different types of oil, it's just going to be so handy. So concludes day 4 of Reset Week. Didn't feel quite as productive as days 1 and 2 and 3, but it is Thursday, and that is the way Thursday usually feels. So for now though, I'm gonna go to bed and make sure I get a restful night's sleep so we can have another productive day tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment. I'm gonna have some time with a friend. We're gonna dye our hair because this mop hasn't been dyed in a while and it could use some TLC. And I know there's some other tasks on there. I think figuring out a meal plan for next week is definitely gonna be one of them, and also trying to find some recipes for quarter 2. Looking forward to it. For now though, good night. Good morning. Getting up today has proved difficult. I am currently a half hour behind schedule-ish. I mean, like, I do try to get out of bed at about 7:30. I know I usually don't get out of bed at 7:30, but it usually doesn't take me until 8 o'clock to get out of bed, so now it's 8 o'clock, it's probably time to get out of bed. Probably has something to do with the days getting shorter or something. Daylight savings changes over soon. It's gonna be wet outside for my walk. Past Jess would have let this deter her. Current Jess is like, no, you do need to go out and do some exercise because it's good for you. And also, I don't want to break the chain because I've done this for almost 3 weeks now. Yeah, it would be nice to get to a full cycle, I think, a full 4 weeks where every day I had done a little bit of physical activity. So I'm not going to let the rain deter me. I'm just gonna possibly get a little damp, and that's gonna be okay. The real issue is that my shoes are not waterproof, so if I keep walking in winter, not that it's winter yet, but when it gets to winter and we have a lot more rain, I might need to be a little bit more mindful about having shoes that are weather appropriate. For right now though, I need my sunglasses because I didn't take them yesterday. It made me sad. I don't care that the sun's not out. I like to protect my eyes. Got my goods, looking cute, ready to roll out. I'm gonna be so damn fit. Open the door and I got a package. How exciting. Well, now I can't possibly go out. I have to unbox this. Okay, no, I'm still going out. We're bringing the package inside. I have literally no idea what that is, so that is a fun surprise for when we get back, and all the more motivation to make this quick. It'll take as long as it takes. I take the same route every single day. Alrighty, I'm home, so it's time to see what this package is. I'm really glad it came in a bag like this because I don't want to get my sweaty ass exercise hands on it, but that is my wedding dress. Contain your excitement. I know it looks very good in the bag. Now I just need to resist the urge to touch it because I do not want to get grossness on it. Breakfast, shower, then you can touch the wedding dress. And I just reminded myself that one of the things I was going to do this morning, after the whole shower stuff, is finish the email inbox. I'm actually excited about getting it done, so I think that's going to help me kind of get it done in a timely manner rather than letting it drag on for another hour or something like that. I do think that pausing yesterday and kind of just stopping when I was finding I was just dragging my feet on it was probably the right choice. While yesterday I approached it as seeing how many I could do in 10-minute blocks, I think this time I'm just gonna see how long it takes me and kind of race the clock, see if I can get as low a number as possible. We love gamification. Shower has been had. I am going to leave my hair to dry out of my typical ponytail, mainly because later today my friend and I are gonna be dyeing our hair, which means I need this to be dry in order to do that. I'm not a super mega fan of having it just wet and hanging here. I would much prefer to have it tied up, and that's typically why I do, but hopefully it doesn't irritate me too much because I want to get my inbox done. I've got the stopwatch set up so that we can see how long this takes. I think, given the fact that I have 28 items in the inbox, it should, in theory, only take me 28 minutes because some of these won't take a full minute and some of them will take a little longer. At least that's what I'm hoping. After how long this task has taken me though, I have pretty much vowed to myself to never let my inbox get this backed up again. We'll have to wait and see if that actually holds because As mentioned, inbox management isn't really my strong point, but I am hoping that maybe with weekly maintenance of this, really just going in and doing that inbox 0 once a week, it'll be a lot more manageable for me. I got a little bit lost in the weeds of it there, so the time came in at 31 minutes and 47 seconds. I think it was actually a little bit less than that, but that's not too terrible. But look, the inbox is empty, there is nothing left. And we will quickly cut away before something comes in. Honestly, it just feels like a weight off because my inbox is always that thing that causes me stress because I'm not very good at responding to emails in a timely manner. So then they pile up and then it's just like cumulative causation thing. Ugh. But it's done. Yay! We can move on to something else. As a palette cleanser task, I got my wedding dress out to look at and it's so pretty, or at least I think it is. I might be a little bit biased. But it's also very long and I need to find somewhere to hang it. Look, it just looks like a body bag. Oh dear. This is another one of those days where I have some blank space on my calendar. So I'm thinking I need to consult my list so I can figure out what to use the time for. I already know this block of time in the evening is going to be dedicated to hair dyeing and hanging out with my friend, but I'd like to use this hour and a half productively. I figured out a couple things that I can/need to do. One of them is defrosting chicken for dinner, otherwise we're not going to eat, and that would be problematic. And the second one is that I haven't organized a video for next Monday, which would typically be live streaming day, but I'm not going to be around to live stream, so I wanted to do like a fill-in video. That one hasn't actually been edited, and I don't have any time scheduled on my calendar to do that editing. So I'm gonna do that once I defrost the chicken. Got the chicken. I am kind of thinking about turning this editing into a bit of a time trial as well, because editing is not my favorite sport, let's put it that way, and it does typically take me quite a while to do it. So if I set myself that visible timer again, maybe I'll be able to get it done faster because it will like hold me to time. I like these little gamification tactics, right? Like setting a timer and seeing how much you can get done, or putting on some kind of a timer that shows you how much time has passed and trying to make that number as small as possible. I do not expect I'll be able to do the full edit in the hour and a half, but maybe that's just like negative thinking. Maybe I need to be a little bit more positive. We'll have to wait and see. One of the strangest things about reset week, and in particular this reset week, was doing the minimum amount of work possible. Normally I spend a lot of time at my computer doing work throughout the week, and while I was at my computer for a decent chunk of the week, I wasn't doing specifically work tasks. It was things like organizing my calendar, setting my goals, doing inbox 0, which I guess technically is a work task, but you kind of get the point, right? It wasn't video making, creation, editing, filming, that kind of stuff. I almost feel that by not having that happen quite as much throughout the week, it meant that when I came to doing this editing, I was a bit more focused on the task at hand. That and also having the timer was quite helpful. Editing this video is seriously reminding me why I usually do stationary hauls as live streams. We're 42, almost 43 minutes into this, and I'm like halfway there maybe. And it's not like I hadn't already started this process, so it's taking a while. Making progress though, slowly but surely. I originally said that I wasn't going to be able to do this in an hour and a half, and now I'm feeling somewhat optimistic. I hope I didn't just jinx it. Knock on wood. That one is officially exporting now, and I don't know how I managed to get it so that I froze this exactly on 1 hour and 17 minutes. For now though, I'm gonna go have lunch because I want to then get into the next stage of resetting, which is that kind of like meal prepping for quarter 2, in the sense of like finding recipes. I'm not actually going to be doing any kitchen work. I just remembered that it's the last lunch. And yes, I know I can make more, but still, what if it's not as good next time? Just like every other day this week, it was delicious. But now as lunch is over, I am excited to get into looking up meals for next week, the week after, breakfasts and lunches. I only meal prep my breakfasts and lunches. We don't really meal prep dinner because we like to have something different for dinner each night. Also, Vogel and I have the same thing for dinner, and I don't think I could convince him to have the exact same thing every day of the week. I don't think he'd like that. While I am going to primarily be hunting for new recipes, I do have my old recipes to look through as well, because some of those I could just use again. I'm kind of thinking it would be nice to have like 4, maybe 5 recipes for lunch in particular that I just kind of rotate through. I want them to be 5 that I like really, really like. So notably the one from this week will definitely be in the lineup, because given the fact that I eat the same thing for the whole week, it means that there'd be like, you know, eat it for a week, and then 4 weeks pass, and then I eat it again. And I think that that's enough separation in terms of the amount of time between them. Shouldn't be too bad. I'm also thinking that maybe one of them could be a soup, because we're kind of getting into winter, like, slowly but surely. It doesn't look like it today. The sun is leaving us and the grey clouds are coming in, which means that, like, you know, winter is coming. So it might actually kind of be nice to have 5 that are more appropriate for hotter times, like summer, maybe end of spring type thing, and then 5 that are better for cooler months, so winter, kind of autumn-esque kind of times. I do also know that I typically lean towards a preference of having a hot lunch, so that's also something I want to keep in mind as I go recipe hunting. Another thing I also want to keep in mind is that I have to leave the house at probably about 1:45 maybe, because in order to dye my hair, I need to go pick up hair dye. I also need to go to my doctor's appointment, and I need to pick up a couple other things at the supermarket as well. So best be getting on to my recipe search. So what I've done to help me out with my search is go to ChatGPT and just say, hey, I'm looking for meal ideas, like, can you ask me some questions to help me figure some stuff out? So it's given me a list of questions that I can use to help figure out the kind of things that I might want to eat. And I just went through and answered all of those questions so that then it could spit me out some possibilities. The things it's given me are not recipes, but I can at least use the names of them to then go and find a recipe online that I can use. Because, like, I'm okay in the kitchen. I probably could figure it out just from the name of a food, but I think it'll be a lot more helpful if I'm using a kind of like pre-done recipe that's like got a proven track record of working. So for instance, one category it gave me were these grain bowls and stir fry type things. So then I could go to Google, look up something like a roast veggie rice bowl, because that sounded kind of nice, and then found some options that I thought would look good. I mean, this one looks okay. I don't like cauliflower. But the idea here is use vegetables your family loves, or at least I like. So far, I've only found 2 recipes, but we've kind of gotten to the point where I need to get ready to leave the house, which means I need to take my forms. I almost forgot them. I've been meaning to return these forms or deal with them since April last year. Whoops. Better late than never, right? It's fine. I'm sure my doctor won't mind. I hope. I also need to go and pick up some containers from my mum while I'm out because hers broke. And I don't think they were in stock where she's based. Just an excellent example of batching the tasks when you go out of the house. Doctors, supermarket, box buying. Containers first, then the supermarket. Now I just need to figure out where they are. Because we're in a time pressure, I just asked somebody and they have pointed me in the right direction. Now I just need to make sure all the lids are not broken, like mum's were. We've got the goods, it's on to the next shop. Alrighty, supermarché, we need hair dye and dinner ingredients. Groceries and containers secured. Time for a doctor's appointment. We are here, I have my forms, I am ready to roll out. I don't necessarily dislike going to the doctor, but I wouldn't say it's one of my favorite things. It's really just because I need my repeat prescription and they make you come back and visit them every 6 months. And for me, it's been like a year. So I think I've probably gotten away with as much as I can. Despite feeling really good about arriving to the doctor's office on time, my doctor actually was running behind. So I got to sit here and admire some of the artwork, look over some of the newsletters and papers, because I didn't want to use up too much power on my phone. I used my phone to vlog, and I didn't want to run out of power. Once that was done though, we got back into the car to do a debrief, and I learned that when my phone Bluetooths to my car, I don't actually get any sound on my video recordings. Here though, I'm effectively just saying it's time to go pick up my friend, because we need to dye our hair. All of the key supplies are ready. Let's dye some hair. Look at how good it looks. We're gonna let that bake, and then wash it off, and then it'll look better, hopefully. All rinsed out. It'll look a little different obviously when it's dry, but for tonight we have wraps for dinner. Very much looking forward to it. And then we'll probably just watch a movie and chill out. Interested to see what this guy looks like in the morning when it's a little bit nicer in terms of styling. Right now it is a little bit wet mop, but we have more good resetting plans for tomorrow. So for now, good night. Good morning, everybody. Bogle just told me I look like a director. But this is my walking getup. See him sneaking in the back there. What a menace. It's fine. It's only my feelings he hurt. I don't know, maybe I do kind of look like a director. It's fine.
I said in a positive way. I said you look like a hot director.
Oh, thanks. I'm not James Cameron.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go there.
Are you excited for the walk?
Yeah.
Are you actually, or are you just lying for camera?
I'm so f***ing tired.
This is gonna be either my 19th or 20th day straight walking, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. I can't do time math in my head, so it's one of those 2 numbers. Excellent walking entertainment.
Vogel's looking up where I got my hat because he's jealous. Vogel is detouring from our typical path and taking me somewhere new. I hate it. It's not that bad. I'm just tired. This is what Vogel has taken me to see. A big cement cylinder.
It's pretty cool, right?
Yep. You're pretty cool.
Thanks, Bubba.
While I'm super not a fan of walking uphill, I can't say that the view from up there wasn't good.
I'm Yao, king of the rock, and there's nothing you girls can do about it.
It's truck.
You're not wrong, babe. You have said it like 6 times now.
Yeah, but did you see the truck?
Oh, God. I ended up doing the math. It's my 20th day in a row, and we made it to the top of the water tower. Yay! Let's go home.
Yay!
We was up there, now we're down here. Almost home. Yay! On to the next resetting task, which is making our meal plan for next week so that we know what we're eating.
And it also means that when we go and get the groceries, we get what we need. Hopefully. Feeling fresh, feeling clean. Vogel is in the shower and we are going to be going out for a yum cha for like a little date day, which is going to be nice. Before then, I need to write the grocery list because we've got the meal plan done, so we're going to get that after yum cha. And I'm also going to transfer my photos to my external hard drive because when we get back, we're going to be doing a very fun date of photo sorting. Like a little digital declutter. It's part of a reset. I like it, so it's gonna be happening. For lunch next week, I figured I'd have like a roast vegetable and chicken rice bowl or something. So here are my ingredients. Transfer the stuff to our little shopping list so we can get the goods. Got my photos on my external hard drive now so we can do our photo sorting, and I'm so excited for lunch. I am quite peckish. I just love yum cha in general, so it should be a good little adventure out. And yes, I do consider going out for yum cha part of Reset Week because it's an opportunity to connect. And you know, part of the point of Reset Week is to feel rested, peaceful, ready to tackle the new quarter, and connection time with Vogel will help me with that.
Just about to leave and we got another package. Yay!
This one is not wedding related, it is journals related. I'm very excited to unbox it. Off to yum cha though for our little date day. I swear I have left the house more times in this week than I had in practically the last month before it, with the exception of Boudreaux Wednesday, because typically I do go out for those. It's only at my house every 3 weeks. Vogel and I got parking close by, we managed to get all of our favourite pieces, which was really good, and also had some leftovers to take home for later.
How was your lunch?
It was very good. We didn't overdo it. I feel nice and comfortable.
Yeah, and we got takeaway bits as well for later. Yay!
While we were originally just going to go straight from yum cha into doing the groceries, we figured that with our leftover pieces, it would probably be best to go and put them in the fridge at home before we went out for shopping, just because we weren't too sure how long shopping was going to take.
Vogel, guess what?
What?
It's grocery time.
Yay.
Yay! We got ourselves some Easter gifts, so I have a nice candle, and Vogel has choc mellow fish thing. Choc marshmallow fish, I can read.
They are pretty mellow fish.
Awful.
You're going to be unloading.
Am I?
We are back from our out of the house escapades, the groceries have been put away, and now it is time for chilling on the couch and doing our digital declutter of photos, which is the one part of my digital declutter that I did in like January that I did not finish because I have quite a few photos. And honestly, I don't know if Vogel knows how many photos I have, and I'm going to be doing mine on the big screen while he does his on his laptop, and I just know that it's going to be cringe. How many items are there? How many are there?
Holy sh...
This is how many photos that I have to go through. So, what, 34,000?
Wow, look at all these cool fountain pics, Vaughn. So many fountains. I'm glad you took so many pictures of fountains.
You having a good time, Vogel?
Well, I'm just... there's so many fountains from Nice. And now I took a photo of some turtles humping. I like this one, though.
So far, I've got 506 items deleted. I'm doing a fairly decent job, but given there are over 34,000, it's not that big a dent. I've gotten through the 2006 and 2007 albums, and I am up to 632 items deleted. While I am enjoying the trip down memory lane, this is taking a very long time. I feel like somebody, wherever he is, has a much easier time of it. Ding!
You're doing great, Bubba.
Thank you, I'm trying. We are currently 2,119 down. I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting a little bit sick of it. I'm calling it. I'm done with this project for today. I did not get anywhere close to all the way through, but I did get 2,183 items deleted, so that's not too bad. But this is
Definitely a future me problem. Spent the rest of the evening watching the Rocky plumbing on the couch, being very chill because rest is the name of the game. But tomorrow, there are things to do. In particular, like a home reset because some areas need some work, but I'm excited to tackle them and officially be able to start the Q2 cool, calm, collected reset. Anyways, for now, good night. Good morning. We are off for walking, looking very director-esque as per usual. On the cards for today, though, we have book club meeting, so that's like part of my minimal work required for the week kind of stint. We also need to make sushi because we're having homemade sushi for dinner, which I'm so excited about. It is also meal prep day, and we're gonna do all of the house-related tasks. And I need to get my journal set up for next week. So a bit going on, decent way to end reset week, a bit of a sprint finish to the marathon week, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's go. Not off the side of the deck though.
So now you know that I'm always a little bit nervous at the beginning of book club. I've called myself out. So
if this is your
Anyway.
first book club and you're feeling a little bit nervous about speaking, just know that Monica does it every single time and she feels nervous too, so you're fine. So, book thoughts. Yep, this was a book. I read it. No, okay, we can probably do a little bit better than that.
Book club went well, though I am now running slightly behind on the rest of my day plans, mainly for the book club debrief that Monica, Rachel, and I typically do. Next on the cards is sushi making, which I'm hoping doesn't take too long, even though it does usually take about an hour. But after that, then I can do my meal prep, which is integral to success for the next week. Sushi is one of our favorite things to make on the weekend, mainly because it does take a little bit more time, it's a little bit more involved, so it doesn't make for the best weeknight meal. But what we've actually started doing is, rather than making enough for dinner on the Sunday night and lunch on the Monday, we've just been having it for dinner on the Monday as well. Sushi is for sure one of my favorite foods, so I am totally fine with having it for 2 nights in a row as dinner. One of the things that I've also started doing is that rather than making one in full and then the next in full and then the next, I go and put all of the rice down on my seaweed first and then put all of my fillings and then wrap them all. Although it does end up taking kind of a similar amount of time, I've just found it makes the process feel a little bit less tedious for me. The sushi is made and ready for dinner consumption. We're only an hour behind on time. Okay, 45 minutes, which is fine. We did actually make a buffer in the afternoon activities, aka tidying up the house. So in terms of the next steps, it is meal prep, which should take about an hour. The only problem is that I totally forgot to defrost my chickens, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. I never like fast defrosted meats. I'd always prefer to do it slowly, but I do not have that as a luxury right now. So far, I've roasted my beans and carrot and the chickpeas, which is a new thing for me, so hopefully they turn out okay. They look pretty okay. And my chicken is in the oven, along with the pizza stone, which is why things are a little bit off time. The rice is just keeping warm, and so in roughly 18 minutes, then everything will be ready to serve up, which means in the meantime, I'm gonna have lunch. The meal prep is done and smelling delicious. I am looking forward to my lunches for the week. Hopefully they go okay. I ended up putting in the vegetables and realizing, there's not really that much there. So it might be the kind of thing that after I reheat each of the meals, I just go in and add in some arugula, rocket, or spinach or something like that. For now though, we're getting started on the home reset. According to the list, we want to tidy my office, do some spare room organization, clear out some clutter, organize some other spaces. The one we're going to start with is my office, and then we're going to get rid of some items. In particular, these games, which we just don't want anymore, we don't really play them. The best way to clean is with an upbeat playlist, so that's what I'm going to put on and get this space looking better. I definitely need to do a refresh of my upbeat playlist. It is feeling a little stale. That's not to say that I don't like the songs, I just think I need some fresh music. If you have any recommendations of upbeat songs that you would clean your house to, I would love to hear them. Please drop them in the comments. But in terms of the general messiness in my office, it's very much targeted around my desk area. I don't really enjoy having things in front of my little rainbow drawers that you can't really see in this shot, but that's where all of my pens are stashed, and if there's stuff in front of them, then I can't use my pens, or at least I can't easily access them. Also, with the journals that came in the other day, I need to find homes for those, and I also thought I'd take this opportunity to do something that I've been meaning to do for a while. Tucking that cable out of the way has been something that I've been meaning to do since I set these shelves up, and that was last year. If you're wondering what this guy is, that's my soft plastic waste disposal, because I don't have another vessel for it right now. It's also the type of recycling that doesn't get collected from our house, we have to take it somewhere else, so it's good to have it in something that you can carry with you. These were the notebooks that ended up arriving in that box from the other day. Such a pretty design. I love this color in particular. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But I do need to find a space for these until I can film them. For now, they will stay on the shelf, and I'm gonna deal with these guys. These are games that we've had in our collection for a while, and we just don't find ourselves playing them, or they've gotten kind of to the point where they feel a little bit stale and thus we just don't gravitate towards them. Rather than keeping them in our whole closet and effectively just being clutter, I'd rather them go to a new home where somebody else can play them, they can fulfill their destiny. In order to get them out of my house, I was just going to list them on my local community group, so I needed to take pictures of them so people could see what the games were, and then write a post and put that on Facebook, because that's where our community group is. Alrighty, photos have been taken, the listing is up on our community group, so hopefully somebody comes and grabs these. I'm going to put them back in the box and then take them out of my office, because if they're not getting picked up today or maybe this week, then they might just get donated or something. Those are at the door, ready to be collected, hopefully in a timely manner, but now we're moving on to clutter corners. These are effectively any little nook or cranny space in my home where clutter has been collecting. The aim of the game here is really just to take the clutter out and put it where it's supposed to be, whether that be in the bin or away somewhere else or wherever else. I also kind of want to keep a note of where the clutter is accumulating, because that might be a good spot for a drop basket or like something that can collect the clutter in, so that then when it comes time to tidy that clutter up, I have a vessel to transport things around in. That's not a today job, I just want to keep in mind that that's something I'm looking out for. The next port of call though was our spare room. This one is effectively kind of like a clutter corner, but it's a clutter room because it doesn't really get used outside of having people stay and having them have somewhere to sleep. But because it doesn't get used all that frequently, it means that things just kind of accumulate in there. Stuff that doesn't really have a home somewhere else in my house, clutter in general, things that realistically need to be given away or donated or thrown out. So we thought it would be a good reset week task to come in and evaluate the stuff we have in there. We did actually end up getting rid of a decent chunk of things, so we made sure to put those aside so that they could go where they're supposed to be, and there were some items that realistically just didn't need to be kept by us or anybody else. The spare room is definitely going to be one of those long-term projects where we think about how we want to organize that space, what kind of storage we want to have in there, and what kind of use we want to have for that space when we don't have people staying with us, because it feels kind of weird to have a room in our house that we essentially don't even use, or at least don't use for 90% of the year. This is the least flattering angle for every human, except for the super lucky ones. We've fallen and we can't get up. Well, actually, we probably could, but we're being lazy.
We've done the first room and we gave up.
Yeah. But hey, progress is being made though.
Yeah. That way.
That's wrong. We're not gonna have scissor sisters up in here. I'm disappointed in us. What's the next project though?
The most important, the kitchen.
Yeah. The fridge freezer is the next important job. We need to go and reorder it because with making a lot of meal prep kind of things, I have been using up more freezer real estate and not necessarily putting it in the best locations. So things are kind of a bit of a mess.
She has been dominating the space.
Heck
with
yeah.
Her health.
With my health. Normally doing a fridge and freezer declutter would be an end of year task or a yearly reset thing, but we thought that this year we'd try and commit to doing it once per quarter, especially as said, with me eating more home cooked meals now and doing my meal prep processes. It means that I'm bringing a lot more fresh produce into the house, and I want to make sure that there's nothing that's kind of fallen to the back of a drawer or something and isn't living its best life. This also just gives us an opportunity to evaluate any of the things that we kept the end of last year and see if we've actually used them. In particular, we had a couple of seasonings and sauces that we had kept because they weren't off yet, but we still haven't used them since then, so we decided to let those ones go. Another main thing was trying to figure out how we wanted to organize the storage in the fridge and the freezer, at this stage just the fridge, because although we had kind of set up general zones for things to live in, we haven't been very good at adhering to those, which means that the system we set up didn't really work. Ideally, we'd probably like to get a couple more containers for the fridge at some stage, but given we don't have those just yet, we were thinking about what can we do with the stuff we already have to make a system that's going to work better. The nice part is that most things didn't need to be disposed of, or just kind of rearranging things to see how they can fit better in here. I like this open real estate, room for snacks. One of the things we also didn't end up doing as part of our December reset was clearing out the crisper drawers. This is something that ideally we would be doing more than once a year because they can get kind of gross when little pieces of vegetables come off and just kind of sit there in the bottom of the drawer being gross. But one of the things we've come to realize is that the drawers aren't very easy to get
out of the fridge, so we might just end up getting some drop trays for in there so that we can take the individual trays out and just clean those instead. That's going to require a trip out of the house, which we are not doing today, but it's something to put on the shopping list for later. The crisper drawers are now clean, which is good because that was a task that we decided to put off from our yearly reset because we got tired that day and didn't want to do it. So it did need doing, and now it feels fresh and clean and reset. With the fridge done, it was then time to move on to the freezer. Because we have a freezer in our kitchen, but also one in our garage, one of the things we wanted to do was think about what kind of items would go in each of those. We both agreed that the stuff that goes in the kitchen is the stuff you want to be able to readily grab, like if you're cooking at the stove and you need some frozen vegetables or something, those kind of things should be in the kitchen. Whereas anything that we would probably get out at the start of the day to defrost to have for dinner that night, those kind of things can go and live in the garage. There wasn't anything in particular that we were looking to throw out here, because everything that we had frozen is something we want to keep, but it was more so just thinking about where would it best be suited for. The freezer in the kitchen in particular was getting very cluttered with a lot of things that we just don't need on a day-to-day basis, and that stuff was much better suited to be in the other freezer. So we made sure to transfer all of those over and consider how we were going to utilize the space in the freezer so that like items could be put together.
The freezer is looking clean and tidy now, and I am very happy. Tell us about the stuff we're storing in this freezer in the kitchen now, Bubba.
That's what I've asked you. You're gonna.
Oh, you're gonna ask me?
So it'll start something like, in the freezer in the kitchen we are storing.
Oh no, I see. I thought you wanted me to ask you. You got so many outtakes now. We're now keeping in the freezer in the kitchen all the frozen stuff that we have for lunch and dinner.
Okay.
This is hard.
He's doing such a great job. What he means to say is that anything we want to have readily available for lunch or for dinner is being kept in the freezer in the kitchen. But anything that's like, oh hey, you need to like get a chicken breast out to defrost for dinner, that is in the freezer in the
garage.
Good job.
And now we're gonna plan some home projects.
Yes, as Vogel said, it is now time to do a little kind of tiki tour around the house, wander around and find any home projects we might want to work on at some stage soon. We don't have to necessarily commit to doing them this quarter, but it would be nice to have them written down so that we can start thinking about them. This one essentially just involves us going around to the different areas or rooms in our house and considering things like what's bothering us, what's causing us any kind of like annoyance, where is clutter accumulating, and is there anything that we'd like to change. No project was too small for this list, so we included things like reorganizing our chopping board storage, completely redoing what we've been calling the cozy corner, which is definitely not looking very cozy at the moment, finishing off the plumbing work, installing caps on our curtain rails, any kind of tidying or organizing or decluttering, and also bigger projects too. At this stage, we're not prioritizing which projects are going to get our attention first, we're just writing them down, but during our next household meeting, that's when we're going to be thinking about which ones we actually want to tackle, or at least want to tackle first. The nice part about doing this together is that we can kind of volley off each other, and it also gives us an opportunity to voice any concerns that we have in the household that maybe one of us wasn't thinking was a problem. For instance, something that I really want to do is wash our curtains, but I know that that's not really a project that Vogel cares all that much about. On the other hand, he really cares about our plastic drawer storage, whereas that one isn't quite as problematic for me, though it is becoming increasingly problematic with the whole meal prep thing. Given that housework isn't something that either of us particularly enjoy though, towards the end of it we were both feeling quite tired and quite over it. I'm not filming upstairs because I'm being lazy. We are officially spent, so it is time to go have dinner. I still need to set up my journal for Q2 and or next week, so that's going to be an after dinner job, but we're both kind of like puddle people. Our brains are puddles. We just need some time off, which is part of the point of reset week. I need to keep telling myself, I know I've said it before, but like I need the reminder that rest is not something that you like earn, it is something that you get to have. As a person, you get to have it. One day maybe that message will sink in. We've had our dinner, we've had some rest time. Now I need to do journal work. That includes transferring this list into my notebook because that is not a permanent solution. I will lose the items on it if it doesn't make its way into my yearly collections journal. And that also means getting set up for next week, so filling out our meal plan, priorities, also going back through my monthly setup pages and making sure that these layouts are populated so that I can hit the ground running when it comes to tomorrow. I did start filling some of these in earlier in the week, but I haven't got everything done. given the fact that the main point of reset week is to get cool, calm, and collected for the quarter ahead. Making sure my journal is set up is like integral to that, because this is my second brain. This is where the plans happen and things get done, or at least I have the list so that I can do the things so that they get done. One of the things that I'm most excited about when it comes to my journaling for quarter 2 is how I'm approaching my weekly priorities list. Previously, this has just been anything at the start of the week that I felt was a priority, but for quarter 2, I'm intentionally going to be trying to make sure it's just goal related, or goals and projects. So things that I want to do in order to action my goals and projects so that they can get done in a timely manner. I'm usually pretty good at breaking down my goals into smaller actionable steps, but when it comes to scheduling these, that's where I kind of fall off. I figure that by tying them to particular weeks within the quarter, it's more likely that I'll keep up a pace of progress. To populate my priorities for the week, I'm going to be pulling tasks from my goal planner. So just essentially going through all of the goals that I planned out in here, all of the projects, and anything that I tied to this first week, putting that in here. Because this kind of breakdown of very specifically tying tasks to the weeks is a little bit new to me, that's also part of the reason why my goal setting and goal planning section of this reset took as long as it did. That, and I also have quite a few things that I want to work on in quarter 2, so going through all of those and doing a thorough job was something that took a little bit of time. I know it's going to be one of those skills that as I do it, I get faster with it, I get kind of like better practice in with my reps, but I'm looking forward to getting to the end of quarter 2 and kind of being able to review how much progress I made in quarter 2 compared to quarter 1. I know that it's not going to be a perfect comparison because obviously they're different spans of time, like other things are going on outside of goal and project work, but when thinking about this strategy in particular, I want to see how it made a difference to my progress. Well, I don't have everything perfectly filled in, but I'm feeling very good about having things set up for quarter 2 and tomorrow. Having some of those like home projects done feels so good. Having my goals mapped out feels even better. And just in general, I think quarter 2 is going to be great. Hopefully you're feeling excited for quarter 2. I know by this point it's already started. Let me know what kind of goals you're going to be working on. And hopefully you enjoyed seeing what my reset week was like. If you did, make sure to give the video a thumbs up. And then maybe we'll do another one at the mid-year point. If you enjoyed this kind of reset content, then this playlist is the next one to check out though. That has all of my previous resets, whether they be kind of like monthly, quarterly, or like an end of year reset. So click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there. There were seriously so many bloopers in this video and you'll see pretty much all of them in our end of year blooper reel. So stay tuned for that too.